This one for the lady over the first. This one for the lady before one them. Seem to recognize this one. Get it. Give it. Fire, I ain't hear you. Where's it? What? Fire, what? Fire, one more time. Fire, one more. Fire, Shadow. What fire? This one for you. Judgment morning. I'm by the gate and I waited. Cause I'm begging the master. And give me a walking preacher. That all sinners coming. With them I go be dealing. Because the things that they do me, I'm also fix them personally. Peter looks as the road by the gate. Peter look the Englishman. We sent at the road to Africa land. Peter take rally, but leave Victoria for me. Peter can just don't care what you say. Mussolini, he can't get away. Why? Break fire. That I undergo from this madman and woman, a pitiful weight at the hand. They may oppress the law, they never care about the poor. Peter, these people had a day. Well, now it's time for standing to play. Peter, look at them sit by the gate. Peter, I don't want her to make fuss. Remember, I want Brittany for Columbus. After Peter, look the woman. South Africa resumed the Mustang. Peter can just look at what you do like Reagan going in it. Why? This is my time. Bring fire. Go ahead and take Foster. But that woman Mary, remember that's my baby. So much back and all that she made. You can't talk a black sal in a break. Peter, wait. Peter, look out to reach by the gate. But I don't want her to waste time. Remember we still have Morgan behind. After Peter, look the woman who sent for it roof in Africa land. Peter can just don't care what you say, but the Ku Klux Klan, he can't get away. Why?
This is my time for today.
Listen.
This is my time for today.
the music, man. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for the rebels? How about a round of applause for the rebels? One more time. Right. Take a piece. Let me sing one. This is my time for Peter. What you say?
This is my time for
Peter. How about a round of applause to the band? Jam it! How about a round of applause for the rebels? How about a round of applause for the rebels? One more time. Right. Take a piece. Let me sing one. This is my time for Peter. What you say?
This is my time for
Peter. How about a round of applause to the band? Jam it! Pushing, it has so much more coming. Take all them from overseas. I was leave my looking during my lifetime. For me, they were so unkind. So much bacchanal that they make. You got to get black salad up. Peter, wait, that's a Peter, wait. Peter, look bald and rich by the gate. Peter, look at that big belly fella. We can remember the dog, Panama. Pastor Peter, look the woman. Foreign troops in the Caribbean. Peter can just look at what to do like ballin'. Why?
This is my time for body.
What?
Keep the fire blazing.
I ain't hear you. What is
This
this?
is my time for body. Keep the fire
Play the music. Coming with them, I go be dealing. Because the things that they do me, I'm going to fix them personally. Peter looks at the road by the gate. Peter look the Englishman botany Victoria for me.
Bunchy.
Peter can just don't care what you say. Mussolini, he can't get away. Why?
This is my time for money. Fire blazing.
Bring fire.
This is my time for money. Fire
Peter, you don't know. Because of that I undergo. From this madman and woman, I feel the full weight of the hand. Let me know oppress the law. They never care about the poor. Peter, these people had a day. Well, now it's time for starting to play. Peter, look at that sit by the gate.
bunny.
Peter got the water to make fuss. Remember, I was Christian for Columbus.
Bunny.
Back to Peter, look the woman. South Africa refused to put sanction.
Bunchy.
Peter can just look at what you do like Reagan going in it. Why? This is my time. Bring fire. What is it?
Burn them. Peter, burn them. Look, the one who demolished the house in Mocha. Bonnie, look, the one who pulled the trigger on Orin Boston. Bonnie, look, the one running there that mowed down the people's stall in front of the hospital. Bonnie, look, the one who give the order to lock up Kidackie. Burn them. Peter, these people, burn them. Bring more fire, burn them. Good evening, the one and only Black Stallion, Leroy Calise, Black Stallion. Burn them.
I'm done full already. You don't deal with the Fuhrer. But go ahead and take Foster. But that woman Mary, remember that's my baby. So much back and all that she made. You got to get Black Stallion a break. Peter, wait. Peter, look, go to reach by the gate. We go to I don't want you to waste time. Remember, we still have Morgan behind. After Peter, look, the woman who sent for it troops in Africa land.
Bunchy.
Peter can just don't care what you say, but the Ku Klux Klan, he ain't get a...
Peter, look, the woman who denying the teachers them their salary. Look, the woman who denying the teachers them their due. Bunchy. Peter, look, the cost board by the gate. Bonnie. We gonna deal with them because I asking Peter for the walk. I gonna be at the gate. Good evening to all of you and welcome to Politics 101. We burning them tonight. Black Stallion leading the way. Dr. Leroy Calise. God give us the gift of calypso that we can talk in tongues. Let them send the police after Black Stallion because we burning them. We burn them. Wherever you're joining us from tonight, welcome to Politics 101. We are going to be doing it tonight. Let's bring you up to date with the latest, because I know a lot of you have been trying to find out what's the latest with Brother Kidackie. Well, here is the latest. Up until this morning, he was incarcerated at the Ramvel police station. And at some point this morning, they moved him from Ramvel to East La Penitence. So as of now, he's at East La Penitence. The lawyers have been informed of the move, and they are visiting with him as we speak. Of course, the police work in mysterious ways. We don't know why they moved him and took him there, but he's there. This morning, when we were on, we knew that there was a problem with food, in that he was not being told. He was not being told who was bringing food for him, and he refused to eat. Eventually, they informed him that his son had taken the food, and he was able to speak with his son. After much back and forth, he was able to speak with his son. So we were able to sort that out. However, he's on a liquid diet. The bathroom facilities are very bad at the police lockups, as you know. And so he is on a liquid diet. He was able to speak with his son. And so he was able to see who was delivering the meal for him. In this case today, it was liquid water, coconut water, etc. No word from the police yet. I spoke with the lawyer about an hour ago. The lawyer was not able to get on to the two officers who are in charge of the case. They had messaged him to say they were at a training session and they would contact him. As soon as the lawyer gets some word, he's going to contact me, and I'm going to pass that on to you if he contacts me before the show is over. So he's still not charged. He's still in the police lockup. They've moved him from Ramvel to East La Penitence. That's there on the back road to go into South. So they move him from Ramvel and they bring him over there. We have been able to sort out the food thing so that he was told who was bringing food for him. His son is the designated person to take food for him. His son was able to speak with him today, and he was able to communicate thing. He of course knew that we carried on the program this morning. He's in high spirits, and they still have not charged him. As you all would know, the story started yesterday, which said that some man named Mr. Mohammed Quilanda had made an accusation. That was the story the police gave us yesterday when I was there along with Deon Abrams and Nigel Hughes and the other lawyer. There were two lawyers there, Nigel and another lawyer from his law firm, along with Deon Abrams and myself. And that is what they told us, that they were acting on a complaint lodged by Mohammed Quilanda. The WPA then put out a statement, and we held back much of what we knew about this person in the statement. We deliberately did not name him in the statement. The statement was carried widely by the media since yesterday, and by the end of the evening, the police put out a statement. And their statement said that Brother Kidackie was being investigated for a call that came in to his program by somebody who threatened to kill the president and members of his cabinet. Not Brother Kidackie, somebody called. And this call apparently came in 2 months ago. This call occurred 2 months ago. So they changed their story by last night. And this morning they removed him I think my thesis is, of course, there were calls this morning for picketing, and I think they anticipated that there would have been a picket at the station, and they quietly removed him from there and took him to East La Penitence. Of course, when lunch was taken to him today, that is when we realized that he was moved from Randveld to East La Penitence. I think they were anticipating us going there to picket this morning. And so they moved him very early this morning because, of course, they're monitoring these programs. And so he is now, they did not inform the lawyer that he was removed. The son only found that out this afternoon when he went there to take meals for him. And made contact with me. I made contact with the lawyers, and the lawyers should be there now at the lockups there at the police station. So they're playing games. They continue to play games. Our anticipation, and I think this is the view of the lawyer, that they're going to stretch the 72 hours. So that's where things are at the moment. They are continuing to play their games with brother Kidackie Amsterdam. So he's still in the lockups. I know a lot of you have been trying to find out during the day what the update is. A lot of you have been trying to catch hold of me. I couldn't take the volume of calls coming in, inquiring, is very heavy, and I could not get to every person that called. Some of you got through to me, and I was able to update you individually, but I apologize to the rest of you who've been trying to get in touch with me all day, but couldn't get through to me. The volume of calls was very high, and of course, it's a testimony to your concern, and we thank you for your concern. I would like, on behalf of the WPA, to thank Mark Benchop, who has been really helpful throughout all of this. To thank the opposition leader, Mr. Norton, who was in Linden today, dealing with the flood situation, but continued throughout the day while he was there to keep in touch with me for updates on the situation. So that's where things are. For those of you who would like to contribute to the defense fund, I know a couple of you have already done so, even without us launching the fund. Those of you who would like to contribute to that fund, you can, let me see here. Okay, here the thing is, what is it? You all call them Cash App and PayPal and the Zelle information I'll put up on the screen shortly. But those of you who would like to make a contribution to the Kidackie, the free Kidackie a defense fund, you can do so via the Cash App, which is on the screen. PayPal is also on the screen, and the Zelle information I will put on the screen shortly. So that's where things are. I'm expecting that once the lawyers would have finished speaking to him, they will make contact with me. And once I'm on the show, I will relay whatever new information we have. Again, I apologize profusely for those of you who've been trying all day, who were calling me, but you can appreciate the volume of calls, and then I have been on the move, trying to figure things out, and so could not answer all the calls. My apologies. All right. Tonight, we continue to keep watch, even as Kidackie Amsterdam is incarcerated. The people of Linden are underwater. Just a few days after they went up there and made a merry, whatever they took to Linden, whatever they took, whatever dirtiness they took to Linden, Linden is now underwater. What a shame. After all the song and dance about Linden being the hub of development, look, the people are underwater. Underwater. It's a state of emergency in Linden. What a shame. The opposition leader is up there today. And tonight we have our brother, the brother from Linden, our own, let me see if it's the lawyer trying to get me here. No, not yet. Brother Nigel London is here with us tonight, and WPA executive members, Takumo Ogunse and Deon Abrams, they're also here with us tonight. We saw today where Congressman Jonathan Jackson walked through Georgetown. I think he went into All Boys Town and he went into South Georgetown to meet with people. As I said this morning on the program, I am so proud of that brother, because the eyes past black people to believe they can take a black man from America, tie you up, bring you here, and get him to dance to their tune and for him to skin his ass on his own people. But they didn't know what was coming. The brother freed himself, went up to Moko and told them, I have come here to have a family conversation. I'm quoting him, a family conversation. And you all know I don't play. We are family. We are a black family, an African family. Of course, we are a Guyanese family. We are a Caribbean family. We are many things. We are a Linden family. We are a Georgetown family. But we are also a black family. And I'm so tired of black leaders downplaying the black family. And it took that man from America to come here and to say, this is a family conversation. I love that talk. Because people think if they say it's a black family discussion, then they're going to lose votes. So look, you all don't get me started with it. But I love that brother. I love that brother. Right? They thought that they brought him here on a slave ship from America, and to confine him and to get him to dance to their tune and to skin his ass on his own people, and he didn't do that. He broke himself free. He met with the opposition leader, he met with the Kidackie, and he met with the people of Moko. He met with the people of Georgetown, South Georgetown, his family. Family conversation. Family conversation. That's what I'm talking about. Who vex. I don't give one hoot. Who vex. Yes, there is a black family. And if they have political people and politicians who don't want to talk about the black family, to hell with them. David Hines is always going to talk about the black family. You don't need a man from America to come here and to speak it for me. When he speaks it, he enhances what we are doing. We are going to continue to talk about it. Oh, yes, black is beautiful, very beautiful too. Guyanese are beautiful, very beautiful too. Caribbean is beautiful, very beautiful too. And black people are beautiful people. Don't matter what they're trying to cut our ass. As Black Stalin said, Peter, wait. Look, the one day who trying to keep wages from the teachers are going to bunch it. Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. We're going to be doing it. Kidackie Amsterdam is in good spirits. They have moved him from Ramville because they anticipated that we were going to go today to create stir. So they moved him in the wee hours of the morning over to Ramville. And we only knew this later on in the day. Thank all of you who have expressed solidarity with us. Some of you got through with me and were able to express your solidarity to me directly. Others of you couldn't get through to me. I apologize. I apologize. But I love you all. I love you all bad, 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 bad. I love you all because you all are black and beautiful, some of you. I love you all because some of you all have the courage that even though you're not black and you're brown, but you're brown and beautiful, and your beauty shines through because you have cut ties with the ugly brown people. And you're standing with your beautiful brothers and sisters across your Amerindian and our East Indian brothers and sisters who have broken ties with the brown ugly and let the brown beauty shine through. Join in with the black beauty. We're going to do it. We're going to do it as we must. Working People's Alliance, WPA, say thanks. Thanks to you all for standing with our brother, standing with us. Because when we stand together, we are going to cleanse this country of the stench, the vermin that they have visited upon us. God don't like ugly. God don't like stink. Good evening, my brothers. Brother Takumo Gunse, Brother Deon Abrams, and the one and only Brother Nigel London from Linden. Thank you all very much. The banner there is where you can contribute to the Kidackie Defense Fund. I think there's a banner also on CAMS TV, but you can make your contribution through that fund. I'll have to take the banner off for the moment so that we can see our guests a little bit. Here we go. We're seeing them properly. Good evening again, brothers. Brother Nigel London, you were at ground zero. And so I'll start with you. Whatever they took to that place that fed Guyana at one point, or whatever they did to that place that kept Guyana afloat at one point, whatever they did to that place, which is a mixture of what Guyana is, because Linden is really a cosmopolitan Guyana, the mixing of the different nations. And when we say nation, we are not talking about the nation state. We are talking about our nation, beautiful, beautiful people. Whatever they took there, my brother, that place is flooded, it's underwater. The neglect of this government is so palpable. It's so palpable that words cannot really describe what is happening there. But I know, even though the usual words can't describe it, you're going to find some words tonight to describe for us what's happening there. Over to you, my brother.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hines, and to the noble gentlemen who are here with you and those who are listening. What a night, what a significant night this is in our country's history. And as you would have asked me to speak to what's happening here in my beloved hometown of Linden, it is extremely angering. It is not, for me, frustrating, it is angering. And it requires, again, from us a response to this administration, makes them aware that we are unprepared to be treated as though we have no sense. And they're the ones who are void of reasoning and basic common sense. They've sought to, in the heart of Mackenzie, the heart of the town, rush to have cleanup exercises done. Because in my view, wherever they think that Irfan Ali would have gone, or they know he would have gone, and Jaglio, that's where they start to clean. That which, of course, the eyes can easily see as, oh, this is development and this work being done. They neglected to deal with very critical areas that are responsible for drainage. Now, the river runs through Linden, divides Mackenzie from Wisma. And most of our drainage in reference to the town and other places would always end up at the river. Key and very critical neighborhoods that are connected and should be drained to the river, they refuse to deal with it. A place called Caracara, there are places called Old Caracara and so on, Rainbow City and these places, they are very low lying. And what is even worse is that people need to understand that there's a dike in Linden, or more than one, that in some instances are 30 feet above people's houses, above the road. A dike is a body that retains or prevents water from overflowing, overtopping. So when that dike breaks, everything just about that can come down will come down on people. And so a place called Nicodoctor was flooded yesterday because I went to show the people that Nicodoctor is close to where I live. The PPP didn't have cars to come up this way. The group of I call them puppy handlers now, they didn't have cars to come here. So the puppies around didn't see cars to deal with Nicodoctor in these areas because, of course, it's beyond the reach of Jagdio's eyes. So certain critical areas like the Caracara Creek, it's supposed to be dredged. People have been calling for this for years. It is supposed to be dredged because it is getting shallower and shallower at the mouth. And so whenever it rains, the creek just swells and floods Caracara area, Rainbow City in these places. So persons have lost significantly. Persons have lost freezers and other appliances here in Linden. And now they're saying that the CDC is here and so they're going to try to help. But let me say this quickly. I saw today at least 3 excavators trying to clear the way for water to run through Nicodoctor and other areas. Now, mind you, this is years they've neglected to deal with this. But suddenly when it's flooded, they found cause to show up and try to find a way to get the water away because it's looked bad. It went viral. Persons saw what has become of their behavior, and now they're trying to solve the problem. So the wicked...
We've lost your audio for a minute there. Your audio. I think we have some technical. Deon Abrams, let's bring you in. You were there yesterday. Along with myself and the lawyers when they apprehended Kidackie and took him in custody. And we were there looking at the drama. Your initial thoughts on the arrest of Kidackie Amsterdam?
My thoughts are, that this is an ongoing plan by the PPP to intimidate people whom they see as the mouthpieces for the oppressed. Right? People who can challenge them, who can bring knowledge to people about the transgressions of the PPP, who can expose their corruption and their bigotry, their racism, and all of the negatives that are associated with that administration. And so it bothers them because the control that they would have had with the media prior to 2020, prior to 2019, the COVID period, which opened up after the COVID, opened up media like we are exposed to now. They don't have that anymore. So places like Linden, for instance, where they were basically shut out of what was happening across Guyana because of the state control of the media, the refusal to allow private media to get involved and so on. And so Brother Kidackie is a target, just like all of the others. Brother Burke, yourself, Robin, who called today to inquire, Robin Simon, who called today to inquire about protests and so on. All of the people who, even a former Paul Slow, the former police officer. So all of us are targets. All right, Brother Takuma, who also has been speaking out. Now, we have to understand the PPP, that they are always thinking about how they can deal with people like Kidackie, yourself, Brother London, Brother Oban. And so what has happened here, this caller whom they are saying made statements that they want to use against Kidackie, we cannot put it past them that they are the architects of the individual who called. Now, any intelligent human being would know that if it's a phone call, you can identify the person. They can request the records from GTNT or Digicel or whoever to go to look for that person, but not only the person, because the person, if the person is brought forward, then the scheme that they might have orchestrated will be exposed because the target is Kidackie. All right, and so they are using whatever means, just as they would have created a terrorism charge against Sister Simon, you know, same thing against Brother Coogan, right? And so this is an ongoing thing. The problem that I have with it, and we will talk about that later, is our response. Right? It's our response to what they continue.
Our response to what's going. Let's bring in Brother Kidackie, Brother Takuma Ogunse. Brother Takuma, you are the senior here among us. You have seen it, as you like to say, from the time you were 14 to now you're 72. So 58 years, just the number of years of our independence. You've seen it all. Have we moved to another state of affairs here in Guyana? Have we moved to another level of political engagement here in Guyana?
I want to start quickly by just endorsing what Deon said. I think that the social media operators or influencers, which one they call y'all, have been the major opposition to the government over the last 3-4 years. And I think that the collective work of that sector have been really putting pressure on the PPP, and it has filled the vacuum for inactive political opposition. And I think that, in my judgment, I think they've made up their mind that they have to do something about it. Okay, I've been trying to pay great attention on this matter, and because we didn't know exactly what the charge was, one, was a little tentative in one's conclusion. But there's one area of it which struck me, in which I think that we should try to decipher politically. Now, the PPP have invited a U.S. congressman in Comrade Jackson to visit Guyana. And we know that is a deliberate attempt to deal with some of the negatives that they receive over time in the United States, in UN commissions, and so forth and so forth. So that bringing the congressman is a high-level decision and a major political engagement by the government. And I can't see, in the presence of the congressman, why would you want to stage active repression against the WPA and Mr. Kidackie Amsterdam? It doesn't make political sense. And I'm trying to decipher what is actually going on here, because the correct thing to do is to wait till the congressman go along the way, come to the country, the God way, and then you start your repression. You don't start the repression, give the man that kind of hard evidence of your behavior. So I'm trying to understand what is really happening in the PPP circles, that those elementary political things, they seems not to be up to, or whether they have reached a point of recklessness where they just don't care. They do
or brother, if I may hold your thought, don't go, because you've raised a very important question. Remember, I started by saying they thought they brought Brother Jackson here on a slave ship, and that they brought him here and give him their eyes, and that they would have gotten him locked up among themselves and for him to be laughing at us. So they thought they were bringing somebody here who would be on their side. So when they carry out the repression, he wouldn't see, because he would have had on their eyes. Anyhow,
they really had to be disrespectful of the gentleman.
That's my point.
So it's really, it's really concerning. Then the next point I want to make, I'm thinking in this equation, I think that the PPP has come to the recognition and I think this to some extent is influencing the timing. I think I remember a few nights before on your program, I think when you had Lincoln, okay, after he left and you were summarizing the program, you make a strong plea for a one-day general strike as as initial response. And I'm getting the feelings that thing drive fear in the hell of them, and they decided they got to engage the WPA, and they got to distract the WPA from being able to work with the unions, and so to get whatever you know possible responses we may advise. I can't see separate the two things because it doesn't make sense. A matter that is 2 months old, a government decide to bring it up in a certain political context. You ask yourself why. This thing they'll be holding on it for 2 months. Or they could hold on it another 2 weeks, another 2 months. Why no? And I'm getting the feelings that they decide that look, the WPA has emerged, okay, in the equation, okay, as a decisive political force, and in the absence of PNC militancy, the WPA have been filling that void, and that the WPA have developed two important communication media, which is Kidackie Amsterdam Media and U Politics 101. And I think that they have decided that they got to begin to strip the WPA down. And they probably start with what they consider the weaker of the two. And I think that they're trying to to close down one of those things, because I think they're working out that they cannot allow the WPA, who have broken out of the media isolation that they had for many, many, many years, because the private sector press and so they control the state media and so. And the two platforms that you all develop have allow us to break out of the isolation. And the potential strength of the WPA is beginning to tell. And I think that they recognize that, they're fearful of it, and they're in a mad rush to find a way to deal with it. But I want to tell them that I'm going to stop so that somebody else will come in. I want to tell them this. The WPA people are still in struggle. Our members have been trained that the police, lockup is always a possibility. And once they lock you up, prepare for 72 hours. We have no problem. We train that way. So they're not intimidating Kidackie or that. In fact, they're strengthening his resolve. And what these young dictators of the PPP doesn't understand the political dialectics of state power, the threat to use force by a dictatorial regime sometimes is more important than the actual use of force. Because once you use force, then you reduce the effectiveness of it as a way to intimidate people. And they're falling into the trap. All dictators fall in. And we want to tell them we welcome the engagement.
Working People's Alliance Executive Member Kokumo Gunse remarking here tonight on Politics 101 that we in the WPA are trained. We are trained to expect to deal with the harshness of the police, and we welcome the engagement. Brother Nigel London, you are not WPA. You are not a partisan person, but you're a force to reckon with. And you were telling us about what's happening in Linden. Finish that and then move over to the Kidackie Amsterdam matter.
Thank you. And I do apologize for that interruption. But I was saying that those involved in the activities that they said would have been geared towards cleaning Linden, making Linden better, failed to act in a manner that was honest and genuine. They cleared only the areas that they knew would be within the view of the PPP's, I call them puppy handlers, they were saying. So what happened? It rained. And what is even worse is they had a few of their little lackeys who were saying the PPP is doing so much for us and they done more than PNC and so on. And the very next day, it rained. or within the next few hours, there was a continuous thunderstorm, and that thunderstorm exposed the wickedness that was behind this whole action. So areas that were neglected, very important. Like Kidackie, people had to paddle with boats. It was once a very affluent community. What happened? It's surrounded by canals. And they didn't, although they knew rain was coming, they did not choose to excavate those canals to create the proper flow of water. So Kidackie was flooded. And as we're saying to the Guyanese people, you need to understand how Linden is situated. Caracara, another community, sits at least 10 feet or more below a dike. When it rains and the dike begins to overtop, it runs straight into Caracara. Then Caracara is also sandwiched by the Caracara Creek, which they do not ever dredge the mouth of that creek. They had a little excavator, an excavator on a pontoon, digging them out. That's what they call dredging. Just dig them out. I don't know if it makes sense to these people. And so it was a waste of time. Millions of dollars may be given to somebody. Of course, you know how it goes. And nothing happened. So when it rained now, there's severe overtopping of creeks. Roads are broken away. And to boot, the PPP said through one of the representatives to me that they have no cause to put drains in this community. Now, the Regional Democratic Council Division 10, headed by the chairman, Deon Abrams, informed by John, who's the regional executive officer, that every road work that has to be done in this community must have drains because you have experience. They refused to do it. So they employed Burnham's strategy, which would be to build concrete roads now. It was so bad, but yet they're doing it now. They built concrete roads with no drains. So what happened in Linden? The water ran off the side of the road and began to undercut, erode significantly these roadways. Millions of dollars have been wasted and persons are suffering immensely. They are now scattering around Linden to see what they can do. And there's a part called the sand pit, which is still underwater. There was an old sand pit, people began to live there, and it has been flooded. We are in serious trouble. The only fortune that we have is that it's a sandy area, and so over time the water will recede. And that's Linden in a nutshell for you. So catastrophe has hit us, calamity has hit us because the PPP came here. And many people are saying, don't blame the PPP for the flood. Well, who else should you blame? Because if there's adequate preparation for it,
that's right,
then you would have this issue. And further to that, why should I not blame the administration of what pertains to the situation? If after the floods came, they sent excavators to dig out certain canals and clear the way. It tells me they knew exactly what should have been doing.
They knew what should
but
have
it was
been done.
unimportant to them because it's not an area that would meet the eye. Now, when I would like to transition to Kidackie situation, and I would not allow myself to discuss Kidackie without bringing Nigel Darmlal to the table. Nigel Darmlal is the benchmark for injustice in this country, or justice, either way you want to put it. And if Kidackie could be in the police station for even 5 hours, it is still an atrocity when we consider Nigel Darmlal. Darmlal is accused of not once, or not just twice, but let's just say 2 times in the social circles. One of buggering a 16-year-old girl, and this is the term in law, buggery. Told her, shut the F up, according to what she said initially, or was reported said. He didn't spend 5 minutes in the cell. And it has to be that uncomfortable for people tonight. You must be that uncomfortable with the reality of Guyana. A man who was sitting as a minister in government didn't spend 5 minutes in a cell. When he told the young girl, according to her report, because she issued a complaint, and thereafter the director of public prosecution said that the girl didn't want, or she issued a no further action statement, which means she asked for action in the first place. Because you can't have a no further action statement without a cause for action. The second young lady reported that she was raped too. Darmlal did not again spend an hour in the cell. Now we have to bring our brother Kidackie into this equation. Because if you speak to Kidackie without Darmlal, you're doing an injustice to Kidackie. I listened to this call that was made. And the individual who was calling, Kidackie, of course, may have opened the line and said, okay, then you're free to call. How can he control what people say if he say you're free to call? And the individual would have said that there are 4 people who are holding Guyana ransom to some extent. I'm paraphrasing here. And you have to put their heads in public. Jagdeo, Irfan, Nandalal, and Ashley Singh. And if you put the heads out there, then Guyana would be a nice place. How does that amount to Kidackie Amsterdam? A, being a threat to Jagdeo, if he simply opened the line for a call to be made. I didn't hear him saying, yes, I agree with you. Yes, we should. Yes, let's do that. So the obvious reasoning to me is that 2 months after, 2 months, not 2 hours after, and all of us are monitored when we speak. They monitor us now. So it took the cyber monitoring community 2 months to recognize that Kidackie Amsterdam entertained the phone call, said nothing. And that amounts to him entertaining a threat against Ali and the others. But let me inform my Guyanese brothers and sisters, please, quickly if I can, that in the Cyber Crime Act, do you know what it says? And I told Ramadan about this as well. It says that you're not allowed to encourage anybody to speak against the government. Now, which country are we living in?
Mm-hmm.
Which country are we living in when I can read in my law that I am not allowed to encourage the three of you to dislike the PPP or that time APNU AFC? What are we doing as a people? So my final point on this matter as we proceed at this juncture here is that I also have an issue with the inaction, with the response to Kidackie's arrest. Because I can't see how Georgetown is normal. I'm a Linden man. I have to work. I can't spend my whole life in Georgetown. But I want to see somebody arresting a man, putting him through this. More so, why is he without bail? You have to give cause for holding Kidackie for 72 hours. Or any hour, as a matter of fact. If Damla could be given station bail, what makes it such an issue for Kidackie to receive bail? Or why is he arrested in the first place? Well, let's say they arrested him. Why can't he have bail? Because there is, the response is my issue, Dr. Eisen and brothers. Georgetown should not be normal. Georgetown can't be normal. Under any circumstance, if a brother, a Guyanese man, has to face what Kidackie is facing, you can't be normal. I don't care how many times they move him. They could move him. They can't move Ivlery. They can't move the office of the president. They can't move Blanham's office. They can't move where Hicken is. They can't move where Ali lives, because he lives in our house. So the places that would not be moved, let's go there then, in adequate numbers, and say that you have to free him. I'm not going for any 72-hour business here and 60 hours. He has to be free now. Because if Jagdeo could say that Guyana would be made ungovernable, if Granger would have been sworn in, why can't we say the same thing? That's what I want to know. Who could suppress me from being a man like Jagdeo? Because Jagdeo is less a man than me in any circle, at any time. So why we can't talk like him?
Apostle Nigel London raising some very, very important points here tonight. For those of you who are joining us late, the update on the situation with Brother Kidackie Amsterdam is that he's still in police custody. He was incarcerated up to this morning at the Ramville police station. There was some anticipation that there would have been demonstrations in front of the station today, and they removed him quietly without the knowledge of his lawyers or his family to another police station. So he is now at the East Ramville police station. And we learned that later on in the day. The lawyers are supposedly visiting with him as we speak, and we will get an update. So that's where things are with Brother Kidackie Amsterdam. Brother Deon Abrams, let me come back to you. A lot has been said, understandably and correctly so, about the lack of militant response by Guyanese people to the atrocities that are committed every day, every single day on Guyanese people, in particular people who are considered opposition to the PPP, who are generally African Guyanese. Can you speak to that issue, please?
The fact is, Dr. Hines, the WPA has a history of militancy in relation to oppression and, we fought under, when we were headed by an African leadership, we were very militant against the administration. And this administration, we aided them in the struggle against the Barnum administration. And the likes of Jack Deon, and Ogun often makes this point, that they were never in struggle, all right? So they don't have the experience of struggle. And so when Jack Deon speaks about putting people in jail, he has no sense, no understanding. Like Brother Ogun said, that we were part of that struggle, and being locked up is not anything new, and that will militancy from us. My current concern is that the state of affairs, as Nigel, Brother London said, Georgetown is quiet. And this quietness is what is driving the PPP to the point of believing that they can do whatever they feel like. All right? Militancy doesn't have to be overt. It can be overt, but for me, a lot of what needs to happen is by invisible beings. All right? And when you begin to act as an invisible target, then they can't lock you. But we have to begin to make the place uncomfortable so that the likes of Jack Dew and Irfan Ali and all of those who are decking this landscape, buildings all over the city, condominiums and apartments and all of these things, let them know we have that knowledge, right? And when we begin to deal with not the person initially, but begin to deal with them in a condign way as a response to their flagrant disregard for the lives of Black people. Look what they're doing to the teachers. I mean, news has come that there are people in the PPP who are sympathetic to the teachers, but the arch enemy, all right, is beating them down in his own party and threatening them that, you know, he would take them out of their current positions and they wouldn't be given ministership again if they continue to argue for benefits to be given to teachers, right? So if the caller calls, and I believe that I've been saying the same thing, that the country needs to get rid of Jack Dew and the likes of Irfan and Nandalal. And once they are removed from the country, I mean, Brother Ogun and I discussed this on the Walter Rodney grounds, others may raise their heads, but then you have to it's a process that you have to continue to deal with elements who are racist, who are dictatorial, who are vindictive, and whose aim generally is to beat Black people to the ground so that they cannot in any way become economically viable, become culturally, just look at the Calypso, little girl with the Calypso, they treated her. So in every aspect of life in Guyana, you know, they shut us out and they treat us like nothing, that we are useless citizens in a land that we have developed. And so the call for militancy is not one that we can, you know, downplay. It is something that has to begin. And the sooner we begin to let them understand that a resistance movement is in place, then, you know, we are going to continue to become victims. And it's going to get to the point where we're not going to only be locked up, but they will be emboldened to execute people whom they believe are voices for the masses.
People who believe that our voices for the masses. Welcome to all of you in your large numbers tonight on Politics 101. We have Brother Nigel London here, Deon Abrams of the WPA, and Brother Takumo Ogunse of the WPA. Brother Takumo, there's no magic in militancy. There's no magic in street protests. These are all things that have to be part of a large package. But have we reached the point in Guyana where something has to give?
Yes. I don't think that is a non-issue. But the question you have in politics and social situation is what actually breaks the camel back. But let me go to street protests. You see, I listen to political people, especially people in the PNC, because the pressure is on them, okay, to use the clout and the strength to promote street protests. And the way the PNC leaders have been dealing with street protests is like though each street protest got to be the ultimate street protest. The ultimate street protest, okay, to make it simple, is street protest which is aimed at overthrowing the government. Now, in no country that doesn't, you don't reach that point in one protest. There's a process, and a lot depends on what the government do, and sometimes they invoke, okay, the government's response and the possibilities, okay, in street protests, as though you're talking about the ultimate street protest. Now, the street protests got different levels and different objectives. A opposition may need to demonstrate a street protest in a limited community that is safe, that the PPP can't penetrate, like we say in Buxton. The PPP was not going to send nobody in Buxton if you got a protest around Buxton. Protests may be necessary to demonstrate to the government who telling you that they got all your people under control and you're weak, to just demonstrate that, look, we got control of the people. And we bring thousands of them, okay, out in the African community. You don't necessarily be in Georgetown, okay, and we pass through the resolutions and we walk around and we demonstrate. So the point I'm making is that street protests got different forms. And there's a level, I don't want to say dishonesty, but the level of opportunistic approach on this thing is that you're treating street protests from the day one as the ultimate street protest. Therefore, you get the ultimate response from the government. Any government, any part of the world, faced with street protests, must know that the government behavior have a lot to do with the potentially fueling the protest. And every government got to make a judgment. A protest start, okay, as a small matter. Are we going to repress it in a way to give it steam and let it become a larger matter? The governments don't make their mistake easy. They do those things when they're back to the wall and they ain't got much choice. The point I'm making is that we're making the mistake, either deliberately or by default, of treating street protests as street protests to overthrow the government. I could understand, okay, the Americans saying in this geographical space in the Caribbean and so forth, changing governments, okay, got to be done by election. And we are not open to encourage changing governments by street protests. I could see Washington making that case. I don't know if they make the case, but I could see that in the geopolitical things in the Caribbean. Okay? But that is not, but we reached the stage. We ain't protesting at all. And that is what's worrying. We're not even protesting at all, street protests. And that is what is fueling the PPP's aggression. Now, we got to be candid. You don't move a population that have been cultivated in a certain way to depend upon their political party that they invest their political energies in, and they expect the political party to provide leadership. Okay? And they've been cultivated for over 70 years or 60 years in that way. They don't overnight, okay, break out of that mode. They don't overnight break out into that mode. So the party got a big responsibility. The problem we in the WPA, haven't I been candid? The WPA and the PNC is working in the same space at this moment. Okay, we're trying to manage things as best as we could in order not to create a situation of divide and rule that helps the PPP. But if the WPA go outside there and call for certain actions and the PNC is not on one with it. The PPP gonna whitemail them and force them to take a position. I don't know where it will go, but I'm telling you the consequences of the position that they take. Okay, got great effects on what's possible. And we had a little test of it in the local government elections. When we capture the imagination of the African community to turn the election day into a day of national uprising, an African resistance. Okay? Not to boycott any elections, to make sure the elections don't take place and they can't change nothing. Okay? But the PNC then buy into that. So I'm saying we gotta be candid in political reality. That yes, the WPA could initiate things, but if the very initiating of things put the PNC on the back foot, the PPP is clever enough to bring tremendous pressure for the PNC to break ranks. Now, I am not saying that we're going to be prisoner to that reality, but I'm saying you got to recognize it. And the next thing about people who haven't been struggling for a long time, you got to condition them back to struggle.
Yes.
And we're in the phase of conditioning Black people back to struggle. That's why I argue we got to get them battle ready. Because they ain't battle ready yet. We got to get our people battle ready. And a point in time will come. And you see, the thing about these things, there is no formula for street protests or for revolution, The formula there's no formula you can fix so that fit every situation, every historical moment. There's no formula. But what you know, that once there is oppression, there can be resistance. And once there are people who are prepared to organize resistance, okay, it gonna happen. You may not be able to fine-tune it exactly how it will happen or how it will play itself out. But I'm telling you, I welcome the continuation of this government engaging the WPA with repression. That is what we need to get we kick in. The WPA need to be repressed.
Fighting words and sentiments by Takumo Gunse, a veteran of militant struggle. Brother London, I come back to you because you are passionate about this issue. Anything you would like to add to the expressions here by the two gentlemen from the Working People's Alliance?
I would like to add to the fact that according to the attorney of Kidackie, Mr. Hughes, the Guyana Police Force referred to Kidackie as a Negro.
Negro, yes.
And I'm not going to allow tonight to go by without addressing that again. And I'll address it for as often as I have to. Since the 1960s, that term has been what you call dated. It is not used to address African descendants. Why would in Guyana, in 2024, in 1980, they started in the US using the term African American and so on, and it spilled over to Guyana. So how are we in 2024, according to Gregory Skalenda, talking about a man as a Negro? Now we have to understand, please, people of this nation, what obtains in this situation, what is at play here. For you to look in this age, under the PPP, a man is looked at as a Negro in a country. How does that not, maybe you didn't know, but now you know. How does that not cause within us as a people the burning that Kofi felt, the burning that Damon Mill felt, the burning of our foreparents to say that this is enough and we have to stop it now? Because if we don't stop it now, what are they likely to do to us next? I'm of the view that this action by members of the Guyana Police Force is clearly intended to send a very clear message, and it is sending a message to many people. One, that if you are deemed to be a threat in some way, there's an easy way to use the police force to get to you. But more importantly, send a message to the official opposition that you again are incapable of responding to things that we do to people. You don't have any means of responding in a manner that's strong. So we have to be able to respond in a manner as a people in this nation. I'm not talking to Africans alone. as a people, respond to the fact that A, there is a law floating around in our country that has to be repealed. This nonsense called the Cyberbullying Act or cybercrime has to be removed. And it doesn't have to be removed by the parliamentarians waiting until they want to do it. We, the people, must arise and say it has to be removed now. Kidackie has to be free, and anybody else who's under this threat right here has to be free, because this is absolute nonsense. Again, I say to all Guyanese, within that said law is a chapter that states that you are not allowed to cause people to say bad things about the government. Now, where in the world can we as Guyanese believe that what we're doing tonight is called cyber is against the act? Because you're not supposed to say bad things against the PPP or make people dislike the PPP because of what we've said. Now, how do we have a nation called Guyana where because Kidackie said certain things, he's arrested? And now they're saying he didn't say it. Please let us rehearse this, and I would like to do so. I listened to what happened as far as it was available on social media. He allowed someone to speak. Do I believe the Jaguar should be in jail? Yes. I've said it on many platforms. I believe that when he said that he'll make Guyana ungovernable, he should be in jail for the rest of his life, because that's a treasonous statement. And he's still free. I believe that when Anil Nandlal allowed the nonsense at the elections to proceed and things were said and said a vote is a vote, you just take it, doesn't matter, he should go to jail too. That's my view. I'm showing how I feel about it. I believe that with Natural Resource Fund, Ashley Singh, and among other issues, should be in prison. Because you're not supposed to handle our money the way he's handled it. I believe that. I believe that finally, for the mere fact that he's incapable of saying anything that makes sense, he should be in jail. Just for how he reasons. Apart from the 19 charges he never had a chance to answer in a court of law. That's my view. And I believe that they are very poor for Guyana's well-being. And so let us as the people arise and defend the cause of a Guyanese named Kidackie Amsterdam. We have to do it.
Nigel, London here tonight. For those of you who are joining us late and are wondering what is the situation with brother Kidackie Amsterdam, he's still in custody. They've moved him from one police station, anticipating there would have been protests today. They moved him to another police station, did not inform his lawyer nor his family. We found this out later on in the afternoon. So he's now at the East Le Penitent station. The view in known quarters is that they intend to keep him for 72 hours, which has now become the norm in police operations. So that's where things are. They have been calls for us to protest. The WPA has been hearing those calls, and we have been discussing them, and we will make a decision one way or the other. But we have heard the calls for protest. We have heard the calls for militancy, and we are having discussions, and we shall inform the public in due course. We shall inform the public in due course. Let's try to get Mr. Deon Abrams back with us in the discussion. But before that, I would like to thank those of you who have responded to the Defense Fund, which was started yesterday by citizens. I would like to thank Novella, Edward, Jillian, Karen, Wayne, Rosamond, and Brian, who have made their contributions over the last couple of minutes. Those of you who wish to contribute to the fund, you can do so. The information is on the screen, the Cash App information and the PayPal information in the screen. I've promised to put the information for the Zelle on the screen shortly. Deon Abrams, let me bring you back into the discussion. We have had the visit by Congressman Jonathan Jackson, and we've seen it play out in a way the PPP did not expect it to play out. Brother Ogunse has raised that issue already. I would like us to deal with it in a little bit more details. How do you, Deon, see this visit by Jonathan Jackson? Did it backfire on the PPP? And if it did, what are the possible repercussions? The congressman made some stinging comments. Stinging. Over to you, Deon, and then Takuma, and then back to Brother Nigel. Deon?
Yes, what happened there? You went blank.
Well, we're waiting on you.
Oh, well, the screen went blank, so I wasn't seeing or hearing you.
Okay.
Yes. The visit is important. Remember, we had a visit before by some after the summit that was organized by the CCIG and so on, that we had some congressmen here. The PPP refused to meet with them, and they had a lot to say about that visit. They said it was political and all of that. But here again, they have brought another congressman, another man from the U.S. Congress, a black man, to, as you said, kerfuffle his brains, to give him an impression that would make him side with them, so that when he goes back to the U.S. Congress, that he gives a picture that clearly does not represent what they have been, what the world has been seeing of them at the United Nations and all across the world. But they seem to believe, they don't understand the independence of people who have grown up in a society where the struggle. I mean, Brother Jackson, his father is one of the persons who would have been fighting for the rights of Africans across the United States. I don't know if they believe that he would not have that sense, having grown up in a home like that, of the possibilities of a PPP government and their attempts to skew things in a manner that would make him want to think in a certain way. And so when they took him to Moko, they had a plan, all right? And that plan unfolded at the beginning when one lady got up to say that, the people of Moko, she's not a Mokonian or whatever, that, the people of Moko are discriminating against them, and there's one set of people against the other. Then they had a guy from housing who came forward. So their intent was to make the people of Moko look as the appear to be the ones who were not victims, but were pretending that the government was not good. And then Kwame jumped up to defend the government, and he wasn't given a chance, right? And from there, I guess they began to understand that they've made a wrong move, right? It's important to us, that Brother Jackson is here, because like the team that was here before, that was taken across Guyana to Linden and all these other places, that saw for themselves the partisan approach to development, the kind of disregard for the Africans in Guyana, the total means of suppressing every facet of life for people who are not like Jagview and Irfan and those, that he can take that information back to the US. and he can be adding to that pool of outcry that suggests and informs the world that we are dealing with an administration here that is totally racist, that, you know, the propaganda that they've been trying to create is not one that is actually the reality on the ground.
Actually, the reality. But the Takumo Gunse, the visit by the congressman, if you can sit up a little bit so we can see your face. There you go.
I think it's an important visit. In fact, it turned out to be far more important than probably even the congressman and the PPP probably had intended. That's the thing about these social engagement, the dialectics of these things is play away. I don't think when he left the United States, he probably couldn't foresee that he will find himself in a political situation where he will really have to act and to speak very candid on issues in the circumstances. And there's no way the government, if they had read that would have been his disposition, there's no way they would have invited him. So somehow they got the impression from whoever put them on to the congressman, because, I mean, you don't just invite a congressman in the context of everything going on in Guyana, the struggle of the opposition to get Congress people, and especially the Black Congress people, you know, and so to act on the political side of the opposition, the African community. No, a PP government would not just look at a list of congressmen and throw them in a bag and just randomly pull out a name and say, we're going with this one. They would have had to do some kind of research. They would have had to get some set of people who probably claim to have known the congressman and to give them the impression that this is a congressman, one that you could work with to achieve what is it, you know, you want to achieve. And I suspect, because I listened that the congressman said, you know, he has Guyanese in his constituents, who have been, you know, complaining about situations in Guyana. So he's very much aware. And he's in contact with other Congress people who have been engaged in Guyana. So he's very much aware of the situation in Guyana. So I suspect that the congressman, you know, probably came with a very open mind. He came with an open mind, but very conscious that he is entering into a country and a political situation that may very well requires him to say things that will make his host uncomfortable. And I think that they played into a backfire. Because, look, they took him to Linden. He must have been briefed about the history of Linden. He must have himself studied Linden. And to see a whole barrage of PPP vehicles invading with 80-something buses, invading Linden, with people who don't live in Linden, must raise in any political person consciousness that this is a show. This is a show. And they're trying to play me. And if they're trying to play me thinking I'm a political jackass, I can show them I'm no political jackass. I know I could play the game. And I think that when he went to Moko, I think he went there very deliberate. And as he said, and this is what is striking, as you yourself, you mentioned it. When an African-American political activist, civil rights activist, political activist is sitting among Black people, African people, any part of the world, whether it's America, out America, and invoke the concept of family, that we're meeting here as a family, that is a significant, in the jargon, okay, of Pan-Africanism and African struggle, that is a very, very significant and potent response. Because you're telling them in the world, this is about me and we. You invite me, but you keep us to this here. This is what we and I invoking the right to speak to me, people, to hear was you and your invitation. If we gotta break up on this, we're gonna break up. But I am not going to be treated in an undignified way. You're not going to put me in a situation where in front of my own people, I look like a political jackass. I know the game. And I'm going to invoke the highest degree of respect in the equation and to take the bull by the horn and tell you upfront and tell you word. Because when he speaks, he's a congressman. He's not speaking only for Guyanese. He's speaking for the American press and the entire world. And he knows what he's doing. He's not, and I'm telling you, they must have been regretting now that they ever go down the road. And it's more than backfire. I think it's going to indict them in a way that they will not be able to repair it. Because they can't say this congressman was brought by the opposition, and the opposition, put a lot of things in the head and bring it out. They say the other Congress people came together, they refused to meet. This is your choice. You do all your studies and everything about this man, and you say, he is the ideal man. And then when you bring in the man, rich in the reality, the man tell you upfront, I ain't no jackass. Brother. You declaring war for me people, and I gonna get solidarity to me people. I come here to discuss family business.
Brother Tukumo Gunsi, and I can tell you, Brother Tukumo, I teach African American politics. And there's a concept in African American politics called linked fate. That our fates are linked. And when an African American leader uses that term, as you say, family is the highest term of brotherhood and sisterhood you can talk about with an African American. And I think they believe they're smart, that man, but I think that man had it in for them. Look at the sequence. He went up to Linden, he was quite respectful to them. But after Linden, after Moko, he meet with the opposition, he meet with Ipada G, he went down to South Georgetown today and Alboystown and so on. I think a lot has happened. In fact, I know a lot has happened. And one of the things I can say now in public, we beat ourselves up for good reason. For good reason. Because sometimes we are too lazy politically. But I tell you, after that congressman came here, he went to Linden, I can tell you that Guyanese in America, in Illinois, in Chicago, got busy and get in the congressman's ears. And in America, they say, make me do it. So quite apart from the congressman thing, I have to congratulate Guyanese in the diaspora who really got busy after that congressman went to Linden. Sometimes, as you said, Ogun, a moment ago, well, not you, I think it's Deon used the term about invisible action, yeah? And a lot of that went into this. It's a combination of an African-American leader who said, I know what I was coming to. And I think when he went to Linden, he gave them a chance. And when he saw what happened in Linden, and thank God for the majority of Linden people who stay away from that charade. Thank God for them. Had they gone there, the congressman would have been in a quandary. But because the majority of Linden has said, are we not gonna play licorice this time? Because sometimes we black people, you play a little drama, you play a little music, we say, man, don't worry, how we gonna wipe up yourself. But I think the Linden people acted with some discipline on this occasion. So a lot went into it. But over to the man who was in Linden there, Mr. Brother Apostle London. Talk to us.
Thank you so much. And the visit by Congressman Jackson, Jesse Jackson's son, has got so many angles that I would like to address here. But I would begin by saying that he didn't just speak to family, he also spoke to the part of the house where the family is going to meet. And that would have caused a significant alarm if they had sense in Kwame McCoy's head. Because once he said, we're not meeting in the office, or we're not meeting at a church or for some counseling. We're meeting in the kitchen. And he invoked the culture of the US.
Yes.
In the kitchen, you talk what you want, because this is where the family, real family with me. This is not no neighbor or cousin somewhere here. This is the core of the house. We're gathering to talk here, and you're free to empty your stomach and let's have a conversation. And that part of the house where he mentioned would have given fire to those in Moko to say, okay, then well, this man is here for us, and he really allowed them to speak their minds, because I knew he would have seen right through Kwame McCoy and the other young lady, because they exhibited exactly what he knew would have come his way. But beyond that, I also would like to think that the PPP, and this is not against Jackson, this is now what the PPP has decided to do. And I blame many Guyanese for this, especially African descendants. They've begun to look at African people as people who are easily bought.
Yes.
Because that's their national experience. They were able to have so many who they know are against them, or would have been against them for so many years, cross over now to say the PP is the best thing in the world because of the money. So they perceive that the whoredom that they experience in Guyana will be the same of US Congressman Jackson. But little do they know that when someone possesses the ability to live beyond the ordinary means of an African, you cannot buy them easily. And when someone understands the value of their character, of who they are, you can't buy them easily. And this man came here within himself knowing his value, but they in their minds felt that they are able to purchase him as they would have done anybody else. So you could just bring him, let him see the glamour, and then say, okay, then we have you in our back pockets. That did not work. And for that, I'm grateful. However, I would dare say that there's a catch here that we have to be careful about, in that if we continue to allow those from the US or anywhere else to come here to try to solve our problems, we have a problem.
Yes.
I don't want any congressman to solve my problem, because though Jonathan is a black man, he's not Guyanese. I hold fast to the point that it's time for Guyanese to grow up, in reference to African Guyanese, as we call ourselves, and fight for yourselves in your country. Make this administration respect you beyond the US and anybody else. Because if they say, okay, then our hands are off, what do we do? I don't want anybody to come to rescue me. We have to develop the strength and the chutzpah to say, we are going to invoke the strength of our forefathers, and we shall fight for our dignity in our nation. That's what I would like to see. Then we can invite anybody else after we start to fight for ourselves.
Brother Nigel London saying it very, very plainly there. And you all know where I stand on that. You all know where I stand on that. At some point, if I'm going to fight an election, I'll have to go out and ask people for votes. But I ain't asking nobody for votes now. I'm asking you all, as black people, to stand up with your dignified self.
Correct.
And not to play games with it. And if there are leaders who are going to play games with it, you all have to say, we love you, but on this matter, we're not with you on that. I will ask for votes when the time comes. But for now, it's not the time to ask for vote. For now, is to assert the dignity of the black man, woman, and child, the black family, and black people. I am pleading. I am hollering at you all. We are in danger. We are in danger. Those people believe they can buy us. They can buy us with music. They can buy us with a few pennies. They can look at Jesse Jackson's son and believe they can buy him. And Pastor, Apostle, you are right. They're doing it to some of our people here. And they feel that that is the normal. All of them black men are the same thing. You can buy them this, you can buy any. And I'm saying to you all here as black people, cut this nonsense out of denying your blackness. If you deny your blackness, you then become open game, fair game, to be beaten like slaves. And for too long, we've been quiet on this because we are looking for votes. We have to look for votes when election time comes. I am not denying that. But man shall not live by thoughts alone. And you all black people, please, please. The information, those of you who've been asking for the Zelle information, it's on the screen. Novella, yes, I am. You're asking me to please push the defense fund. Yes, the defense fund was initiated by a couple of people yesterday without any pleading. They sent their donations and said, this is for Kidackie's defense fund. The rest of you, the information is there. The Zelle information, some of you have been asking for it. It's scrolling at the bottom there. I hope you all can see it. Those of you who can't see it with a plain eye, put on your glasses like me. And then, of course, you have the Cash App and PayPal and the other information there. Sisters and brothers, for those of you, again, the update with Brother Kidackie is that he's still under arrest. They've moved him to another station. We suspect that they expected us to show up today at Ramveld where he was, and so they moved him early this morning. We now know where he is. He's not eating solid food because, we discussed that this morning. He's very skeptical. He was able to speak to his son today. They didn't allow him to speak to his family yesterday. Today, after some back and forth, he was able to speak to his son. His son was able to take liquid for him, and he communicated. He sent messages with his son to me to instruct me what to do. And so we have been able to establish communication. I spoke to the lawyer. He has two lawyers who are working with him. Brother Nigel Hughes and another female lawyer from Nigel's firm, and there are other lawyers who have volunteered their services. We would like to thank them. The outpouring from our community, we would like to thank them. I would like to thank Mark Benshop, who has been foot to foot, as we say, with me since this matter. The opposition leader, Aubrey Norton, from the time he got the news, he got in touch with me. Mark was today joking that I talked so much to Aubrey Norton in the last 2 days that I begin to sound a little bit like Aubrey Norton, because Mark told me something and I said, well, Mark, I'll deal with it. And, Aubrey like to say, I'll deal with it. He has been supportive, and all of you. My phone today, as you all been saying, ringing down. I could not answer. I could not answer all the calls. Some people got through to me, and I had to cut the conversation. We would like to thank you. Often, we political people don't say thanks. We don't say thanks enough. And we take it for granted that you're all doing what you're all doing you are supposed to do. Or we don't value what you are doing enough. We always want you all to do more. But whenever you all are doing what you're doing, we say thanks, thanks, thanks. This struggle is not, we are not in this alone. As Brother Takuma said, we in the WPA, this is bread and butter for we. Lack of story and nothing that we run from. But having said that, it's always good to know that you have people out there who are prepared to stand with you. We hear the requests for demonstrations in front of the station. We are discussing it in the party. In the coming hours, we are set to have an emergency meeting, and we will make some decisions. At the moment, the matter is in the hands of the lawyers. As I said, it's in the capable hands of Brother Nigel Hughes, and I really can't say enough thanks to that brother. Once Kidackie was arrested yesterday, Aubrey called me, and the first thing he said, we got to find lawyers. And we began calling lawyers. It was a time when almost all the lawyers were in court. Nigel, we got him. And immediately, without even telling him what the story is, we just said, Kidackie's arrested, we need a lawyer. He said, where? And he was there in minutes. He was there in minutes. We can't say enough thanks to that brother, When the history of this period is written, he would be front and center. Sometimes I feel so embarrassed to call him on these matters. And he usually tell me, David, please, it is never too much for me. Thanks to that brother. Thanks to that brother. Brothers, Brother Deon Abrams, as we wind down, your closing thoughts tomorrow morning. We are keeping the Guyanese Morning Time alive. Kidackie made that request. He sent, that's one of the messages he sent with his son, to tell me to keep the program going. This morning, Mark and I did it. We are going to do it again tomorrow morning. And we hope tomorrow morning is the last morning that Kidackie would be free in short order. Deon Abrams, your closing thoughts.
In closing, I would like to urge our people to think about what is happening to us here in Guyana. The bother for me, is the fact that so many of us now seem to be willing to become soup drinkers for the PPP. And the bother is that when they become soup drinkers, even in the police force, that they tend to be so, they want to demonstrate in such a way that, they are seeking the attention of the likes of Jack Deon and them. So they want to go further and beyond to show that they are in sync with the government to oppress their own people. And that was demonstrated at Moko, by those who stood up to speak on behalf of the government. But we have to deal with them in a way. I think initially we have to speak on programs like these so that they understand that they are being counterproductive to the struggle of the nation to which they belong. And what they're doing is not going to benefit us in the long run, that there is a future that we're looking at for not only for the benefit that they may be receiving a little bit, and they're not receiving much. It's nothing compared to the rape that Jack Dio and the likes are committing in this country in terms of our resources and so on. They give them a little thing that they can't survive on. All right, $5,000 and a box of food, as we were talking about the last time, and they believe that they are receiving a whole lot. The other concern is the dormancy that we continue to seem to have fallen into. Brother Ogun did say that it will take a process to bring people back to that position where the militancy is part of our being again. We have had that militancy throughout slavery. We've never sat and allowed ourselves to be beaten down. We were always planning overtly and covertly systems of resistance against oppression. And we have to continue to do that so that whether it's overt or covert, the administration knows that if it responds to us in one way, that we are going to fashion a response to tell them that we are not accepting it. All right?
We're not accepting it.
So we have to go beyond this talk that we're talking. And we have to send a message.
Brother Deon Abrams.
That is a blow for a blow.
Right?
And when we get to that,
Brother Deon,
things are going to change.
Brother Deon Abrams urging more militancy for us here tonight. Brother London, your closing thoughts?
Let me say thank you to you and to the panelists here who shared this one with me, to those who viewed as well and who contributed to the program in any way. I'm grateful for sitting here. I also, as soon as I leave you here, Carib Vision, I think a TV station in Barbados, they're interviewing me regarding the said Cybercrime Act in Guyana here, because they're holding a protest in Barbados against this. It is affecting people all across the Caribbean, and they've asked me to speak about Kidackie as well, so I would do my best. I would also like to share with all who are listening that beyond the WPA, I'm not looking for the WPA to represent Kidackie Amsterdam. This is a national issue. This is not a WPA issue because Kidackie is Guyanese. It's not about WPA. And please, I beg of you all across this nation, it's not even just an African issue. It's an issue that has affected a Guyanese person, whereby for one, if you're fair-minded, nobody should be addressed as a Negro in our country. Don't tell me about emancipation, then you call me a Negro. This has to stop now. More than that, I would like to suggest that we would see it not as a WPA response, but as a Guyanese response. That the Guyana Police Force has no right to hold anyone. If they open a line for someone to call and the person calls, you should kill Jackie. Hold the person. We have means to track anything, as Brother Deon said. So with that, I would like to say thank you so much for this opportunity. And let us see ourselves again. I speak now to the African descendants, to the Hebrew people. See yourself as being dignified enough to represent who you are. And no one must have the power to cause you to accept them saying that what you're worth is some money in lieu of what you are. Your dignity matters. Who you are matters. And we must return to who we really are. Thank you so much.
We must return to who we are. I would like to thank the following persons for contributing to the Defense Legal Fund. I'd like to thank Denise. I'd like to thank Ingrid, Lynette, Diane Buxtonian, Priscilla, thank you very much. Brentnell, thank you very much. Rebecca, thank you very much. Lorraine, thank you very much for contributing to the Defense Fund. There's some others that I would thank, but let's get Brother Dr. Kuma in for his closing thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Heinz. Look, we the WPA is very clear. The country have seen historically a PPP, PNC political confrontation. The country have witnessed a WPA, PNC confrontation. The country have never witnessed a WPA, PPP confrontation. This is a new engagement, and I'm telling you, okay, if the PPP wants to test the waters on this matter, we are prepared for the test. You see, in political struggle, whether you like it or not, you are dealing with other people's opinion. You are not the only opinion maker in the equation. And sometimes, even when you read the situation in a certain way, and you develop an attitude towards it, you still have to hope, and you still have to try to solicit other people in the equation to come to your position. Now, as I said to you, the WP have declared its support for the teachers, and we are prepared to throw whatever time and resources we have in the battle. I think, okay, that is partly what they're responding to, okay? And they decide that they're going to engage the WPA to tie us up in personal self-defense, and we got less time to help the teachers and so forth and so forth. Now, that is their line of march. But we want to tell them, and we want to force them in a position. You see, politics is like this. People will say generally, if the police call you in and say they're investigating you for crime, okay, it is bad in itself, especially when you know it is politically motivated. Okay, it is bad in itself. But as political people, you got to bid your time and to see whether they can charge or with the exact charge. And then having seen the charge, you have to see whether they can deny bail. You see, and that is critical in justifying your response. And we are paying careful attention to the stages. We're not panicking because you arrest me. We expect though. We're not panicking because you say you keep people safe for 2 hours. We're not even panicking because you're threatening for charge. We want to see what charge you're coming with, and we want to see whether you can deny bail. Because it is those things that make we determine where this engagement will go and how quickly. And we want to make it clear. You see, in we don't believe in the kind of politics of secrets. The government is attacking Kidackie and attacking WPA publicly. And we have to work with defense and attitude in public. We're going to stand up for Guyanese people, you stand up for your teachers. But come here on the high waters, 1,000,000 times more we're going to stand up for ourselves. And we wanted to reach to that point. We have been fighting for only other people, force me to fight for our own survival. And we make sure your survival, okay, will tie up with the outcome. We want them to understand it very clear. We're clear, you know, we have been patient for years on some of these things. Very, very patient. To a point that people say we're dead. Well, you know, the dead come alive.
Brother Takumo Gunse, in traditional WPA fighting spirit. Thank you, Brother Takuma. Thank you, Brother Deon Abrams. Brother Nigel Linden, as always, eternally grateful. At short notice, you've always answered the call. If you were not a Hebrew, if you were not an apostle, you would be a WPA. Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I'm sure, although you're not a WPA, you're a Rodneyite. I'm very sure of that.
I certainly am. Thank you.
Thank you, my brothers. Thank you, Brother Deon. Thank you, Brother Takuma. Thank you all very much. And I would like to thank this audience. You all have swelled close to 3,000 tonight. This is perhaps our biggest audience yet for Politics 101. We have swelled close to 303,000 people live tonight. I would like to thank you all so much. I would like to thank Randy and Reginald for their contributions to the Defense Fund. Let me see if I have anybody else to thank before we go. I think that's it for this evening. Tomorrow morning, Mark and I are going to be on the Guyanese Morning Time sitting in for Brother Kidackie. Hope we have better information for you by tomorrow morning. And until then, I would like to thank you all for staying with us one more night. We hope the nights will get shorter and that our proximity to freedom is fast coming, sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later. Thank you all very much. See you all tomorrow morning.